Alright, so hello everyone and welcome back to Factorio. So last time we were working on getting supplies back to Novice for artillery production. However, we had a bit of a storm IRL and lost power, so we didn't quite get that finished. So, I don't know exactly where we left off, but it looks like... we've got a spacecraft going around. It's got stuff in it. Hasn't got the ammunition yet. But that's probably fine. Alright, so... let's see here. What else was there that we were supposed to be doing? Because I think we lost a little bit of progress, so I don't know what exactly that would have ended up being. But we're probably going to have to redo something that I thought we already got done. I'm just not exactly sure what that is exactly. Alright, so this is our ship. It's stopped at Novice. It's deposited presumably everything that it needs to. And now it's just a question of picking up the tungsten plates. Alright, so this is headed around and is turning back to Vulcanus. So hopefully that is good. So hopefully this can make it to Vulcanus and pick up a whole bunch of stuff. So what in this list does it not have? It's got 800 of those, so it's got more than enough calcite. It's got enough metallurgic science. It's got enough big mining drills, enough transport belts, enough underground belts, splitters. Not enough foundries. Alright, so the things we're going to be launching are foundries and tungsten plates, basically. That shouldn't be too bad. Alright, so this is good to go. Now, okay, here's something which we can do. We have Speed Module 3 and Efficiency Module 3s unlocked. Do we want to start making those? Because those could be useful to have, right? And then Quality Module 3s are locked behind Electromagnetic Science, whatever that is. And then Productivity Module 3s are probably locked behind something. They probably exist, right? Did I already have them and I'm blind? No. No Productivity Module 3s. Let's see here. Productivity Module 3s. Okay, so theoretically we just need to do some more agricultural science stuff. Get captivity, and then biter egg handling. Alright, so that is something which we could do in the near future. So, let's see here. If we go back to Gleba... Actually, what do we need for these? We just need spoilage, advanced circuits, processing units, and the module 2s. So, we have efficiency module production, right? Yes, we do. So, let's get this copy-pasted another time, but set the recipe to efficiency module Mark 3s. Now, hopefully, occasionally some science will spoil and get those producing. Not exactly in a huge rush for them. It'll just be something that happens over time. So yeah, currently we have no spoilage available, but if we go down here, we should have, yeah, agricultural science in various states of spoiling. So that should eventually give us some amount of efficiency module 3s, which should be fun. Alright, why has this gotten so much stuff delivered? I don't know. Oh, because they had that group and then another one? Alright, that's fine, I guess. So we're going to need to swap you up to those, and then we're just going to add spoilage in of a couple hundred. And that should be that. Alright, so that should be efficiency module 3s. Then for speed module 3s, we need tungsten carbide, which we don't have here. Are we making modules on Vulcanus by any chance? We are, actually. Alright, so that's great then. So we can just go over here, and you get another one of those, set to make speed module mark 3s, and it needs to get powered up, and it needs a requester chest, which will provide it all the various things. So you need tungsten carbide, blue circuits, red circuits, and speed module 2s, I believe that's it. And then you can output to another box. Alright, so that is that. So these are going to be stuck on Vulcanus, which is not ideal, but that should be less of a problem now that we've got this guy going around. Alright, so we should have better modules producing. Quality modules, we're probably going to want some of those in the near-ish future, but not right now. What else is there which we don't have, which would be nice to have? We have all of those. We don't have stack inserters made, so those require processing units, jelly, carbon fiber, and bulk inserters. That requires a lot of work on Gleba, basically, which I don't even know how much of a big deal that's going to be. So carbon fiber is carbon and Yumiko mash, and then jelly is just jelly. But the bulk inserters and processing units, I don't think we have great production of those. I mean, we have some. We have some of those things here on Gleba. How many drones do we have? Just a couple hundred. That's fine. Alright, well let's see if we can get this set up. So we need to make carbon fiber first, so that's carbon and Yumiko mash. How do we make carbon here? There's some way, right? There's some trick to making carbon. Is there some biochamber recipe for it? Maybe? Let's see here. Yes, so you can make carbon out of spoilage. So let's get that set up. I remembered why I don't like staring at this place too much. Alright, so we're going to need a biochamber, and preferably we can just sort of do this lazily. So this is going to take nutrients from there to power the biochamber, and it's going to do burn spoilage, and then it can output the carbon to a provider chest like that. Okay, then you need a requester chest there to give you the spoilage, which we should have somewhere up here. We should have some access to spoilage. Yes, we do have just a box of spoilage over there. So that should get set up if we had the inserters and the passive provider chests, which apparently we don't. So these get output into a steel chest, so that's your problem. And then the passive provider chests apparently just aren't available. Okay, now this is broken. Why are you broken? Because you're not getting nutrients. Oh, I see. You need... Okay, no, this is actually fine. So you don't have the space to output your spoilage, but if the sulfur were moving, then you would, and that would boot up again. So that's fine. What we need passive provider chests, apparently. And how do we make those? 2 types of circuits and steel chests. Well, we have 2 types of circuits up here. Unfortunately, we're going to have to send some stuff over there to get that started. So let's go to Gleba support. And can you just grab like a stack of passive provider chests and a stack of active provider chests or requester chests and a stack of fast inserters? And then Gleba can summon those down. So you are going to request a stack of those, a stack of those, and a stack of those. So that should eventually get dealt with. It should help us build remotely on Gleba. Okay, so now if we have carbon, we need another guy back here, and you are going to also be off there and take carbon fiber. So you need nutrients, and then okay, wait, so this takes spoilage. I don't know, we might need to have you send out spoilage that way and send out carbon into this box just to keep things clear. Although I guess we do probably have that requester chest there, which constantly takes spoilage from wherever it gets produced. So it's probably fine. Alright, so you get that, and then you need to requester chest in Yumiko Mash. Like so. Get powered up. And then passive provider chest out the carbon fiber. so you are going to be carbon fiber, and then you can throw your spoilage back onto this belt if possible. Otherwise, who knows what'll happen with it. It should be fine though. Alright, so that is all set up. Meanwhile, Vulcanus support is in orbit over Vulcanus. So, how are we going down here? Not perfectly. We have sent down some stuff. We've sent down the coal, and it looks like things are starting up. And we're up to 16 foundries, so that's what we've been launching this whole time. Okay, that's fine. Now, our supply of asteroids up here seems to be going all right. Okay, wait, actually, we have better speed modules and better efficiency modules. Can we do stuff with those up here to get this whole thing going faster? Not really, because these guys are item ingredient limited anyways, and these guys are efficiency moduled anyways. Okay, that's fine though. So Vulcanus is at 16 foundries. It's going to be one more rocket's worth of foundries, and then we will just be getting tungsten from there on. Cyan, hello. We are back doing all this stuff again. We lost a power pole on Novice. Is that catastrophic? Not really. Let's just add another laser turret or two in the area. Yep, we are back at it again. We are almost at the point where we can finally get a steady stream of artillery ammunition back from Vulcanus. And the rocket launch capacity on Vulcanus continues to be like the main problem. So we don't have enough coal to just launch constant rockets. We're always short on blue circuits. So our goals are going to be fixing that, basically. Now we have better speed module production now, right? Yes, we have a couple of these guys. And not enough red circuits. So where's our red circuit production? That's down here. Alright, so we can actually... No, because red circuits require plastic. Not sure what's different here. I mean, the main difference is that there's no coal, especially nearby. And I don't really want to go out 20 miles deep into Demolisher territory to find another patch, because that would require work. Like, I could probably fix it by just expanding more, but we're just gonna do it this way because I think working on orbital stuff is neat anyways. Alright, so that we are currently having plenty of coal, but I know from experience that by the time this turns around and leaves, we're gonna like instantly run out. So yeah, we've got that much coal, what, 400 to spare, and it's going over there. And being used to make a whole bunch of different things. Alright, so that is that. So everything here is functional. The ship is headed, the platform is headed back to Novice, where it's gonna collect more coal on its trip. And let's see here. How do we deal with this? We have a little bit of coal left, but we're about to run out, and this whole thing is gonna just instantly stop once that happens. Better productivity modules would be great, but we don't have those yet. Okay, actually, what's the main limiting factor in our science? Something's gone horribly wrong with science production. What is it? It's still just a lack of chemical science. And you are short on red circuits. Okay, so our red circuit production is partially here, but I think mostly there. So what's wrong? Red circuits aren't getting any plastic. Of course not. It's always plastic. Alright, so if plastic is the problem, then do we have the ability to produce more plastic here on Novice? We've got full boxes of crude oil. So we have full petroleum gas as well. Okay. And now we're short on coal here on Novice as well. Great. Just what I needed. Well, I guess the good news is that we can expand coal on Novice way more easily. So we're just gonna have to look down here, and we can actually use big mining drills here. We do have those, I believe. So let's just get all of this get a whole bunch of mining drills in, and I don't know, something like that. I believe we'll cover the entire thing. And then we need to get belts. Actually, let's have the belts go down this way so that we have space to deal with the outputs. And we need to get this stuff onto the train. So if we just have this, let's see, so this track is heading this way. Does it not have any signals on it? What's going on with the signals here? Ah, I hit the wrong button. Alright, so where were we? We were like down here-ish. Alright, so let's get some signals in this area. And some chain signals as well. And we can get the train tracks out. Actually, I made a blueprint for this, didn't I? Somewhere in here? Yes, I did. And it even has the signals in it, so I don't need those. So take those out. Pop you in. And replace that power line so that we don't break everything. Which we have temporarily done, because of course we have. Okay, then we're going to need these to all get powered. Actually, I need substations. That'll actually just be more convenient anyways. Alright, so then that will be all connected up. Now we just need this train track to come around to here. and fill in. So we need a relatively simple train setup. So we just need that to go over like this, and that to likewise go over like that, and then we just need these two to loop. Of course the loop is not going to be good enough there. Alright, so we're going to need to actually remove that and then place it somewhere else where it's out of the way. So if we put this just all the way down here, and then this one could go down there. So then we can have that loop go in and not intersect. Alright, now we just need that to meet up with that, and we need you to meet up to there, and then we just have to set up a train station. So which direction does this go? Let's see here. So the trains go that way, which means they go down around here and over there. So if we get a train stop in here, this isn't even going to be large enough to handle the whole thing. I wonder if I can make it larger. So we're just going to have to remove some of those tracks and expand that over to that way. So then we need you to loop back around to there, and then this extra junk can go away. Alright, so now that that's all set up, I don't know why some of these haven't been queued up. That's a bit mysterious. Alright, is there some weird problem with a gap? Yes, there is. Alright, there's a tiny gap in there. So we just need you to get a drone port in. So now this whole thing is set up. You get a train refueler as usual, and then we just have a couple rows of chests here like that, and then we get bulk inserters, and then we just have to get everything into this. Alright, so then this splits into two, and then into two again, and it takes belts from there and from there. Then we have that one, and that one, and that one, and one more. And then we put these bulk inserters in, and we should have ourselves a nice functional train station, which should provide us with our coal. And now we just get the power connected across, and then over to there. Alright, so that is now all set up, and probably gonna need some laser turrets around here, so let's just throw those guys in, just something like that, with a bit of walls to protect them. Don't need anything too fancy for that, probably. Alright, so that is that. And now we probably need some signals in here and back there. Alright, so now that this is all set up, all we need to do is get the train built, and then I think we actually need a stop on the other side as well. So we get a train with 1, 2, 3, 4 cars. And then that, we'll have to set it once it actually exists. And apparently I never automated train cars, so I'm going to have to go back and do that somewhere. So let's just get a random thing here. You make cargo wagons. And you request all the stuff that we need to make cargo wagons. And then you output to a box where we can store our cargo wagons. So this needs to be iron plates, steel plates, gear wheels. Iron plates, steel plates, and gear wheels. There we go. And apparently the power doesn't quite reach up there. Alright, so that is that. And the biters have already started attacking this area, so let's get laser defenses built into that. And then some walls. Apparently they came from that direction, so let's get that whole thing covered. And then an extra laser turret or two just to make sure. Alright. So now we have that train. We just need to get it to bring its stuff back up to here somewhere, and it can sort of be anywhere. Like, realistically, it just needs to be close-ish. So let's have it be... Let's have it just be off this area somewhere. So where's our coal trying to go? The coal is trying to get up there so they can run along this belt. Alright. So the closest... Yeah, the closest train line we're going to get to that is over here, which is still not especially close, but it's fine. Alright, so let's just turn this area into a train station. I don't know. Actually, no. I should leave that to be expandable in case I ever want to expand it. And instead, we should be able to actually just sneak it off this turnaround spot. Maybe. Actually, do trains use that turnaround spot? They do, which means I probably shouldn't do that. Okay. Then in that case, let's just go up here and get it up this area. So you get a T-junction, which is rotated around. And let's see here. Does this... It barely doesn't quite line up with itself, but I think that's fine. So I think we just... Too close to existing rail signal. Okay, well if I just don't build them, then it should be fine. So then this can go up here, get a good chunk of distance, and then turn around. Alright, so now we put you onto here, and it can go like there-ish, I guess. It's all a bit janky with the tracks not actually being built yet, but that should work. So then this can be coal destination. And we are going to have to wait for the train stop to get delivered before we can see where everything lines up to. Alright. Apparently this isn't quite long enough. So we're going to have to make this straightaway just a bit longer. Just a tiny bit like that. And then we can disconnect all of that and then have this loop back around properly. Like that. So now our train station can go up here somewhere, and that should be enough space. Alright, so now we get a train refueler, which is gonna go like there-ish probably. It's really hard to tell when the little train stop indicators don't show up. But you are going to be labeled as coal destination. And let's actually give you that symbol, just so that it didn't. I clicked out of it. Coal destination. Give you the symbol. Confirm. Okay, now the symbol is on the wrong side, actually. I didn't know that that is how that worked. We want you to be on that side. There we go. Alright, so you have been built up properly. And now we just need to set up the train unloader. So this just needs to be a pretty simple one. It's like actually just the most simple thing possible. These are going to be passive provider chests so that we can then just fly the coal over to where it needs to be. And we get power lines. And then at some point we might run a giant belt, but for now this should be plenty. So we're just going to go up here and set up a nice solid batch of those. And they are going to request max request coal. There we go. And then they get powered. Okay, so this, we need these guys to be bulk inserters as well. Let's not forget that. And then we probably need to make sure that these are bulk inserters too. Okay, I did get these as bulk inserters. Okay, so now the biters are attacking over here. So I'm going to want to set up a proper laser wall over there, actually. So let's just do something like this. And then curve it around to this way. Let's just get that whole general corner secure. And hopefully that will last. Okay, meanwhile, Vulcanist support. We still have somehow managed to not get any of this stuff. We are heading back to Vulcanist though, so that should be fine. So this is set up and is just loading the train. So this needs to be coal. Wow, I hit all the wrong buttons there. Coal source. and you need to be assigned to the coal group, which currently will be just yourself. And then we add coal source, coal destination. You go to the source until full cargo, or no, not inactivity, or time passed of 120 seconds. And then you go to the destination until empty cargo, and you get set to automatic, and off you go. That should be good. And we're going to have a whole bunch of drones doing a whole bunch of stuff to get this from here over to where it needs to be, but at least it'll be closer than bringing it from all the way down there. Alright, so here we are, and we do the unload, and the pickup requests immediately begin. Here we can see all the drones start and migrate over this way. Just massive swarms of drones coming over here to pick all this stuff up. And that should be fine. I wonder if... yeah, the drone coverage in this area is probably would be helpful to have more drone ports just for better charging. Yeah, let's get a drone port right there, and a drone port in there, and hopefully that will help. So now if we go over to here, we can see a whole lot more coal showing up and a whole lot more logistic drones active. So that hopefully will keep up. All of these have their full deliveries queued. This is not exactly the world's most effective way of transporting mass quantities of coal, but it is a way of doing that, so, you know. We shouldn't be running out of coal at the plastic side of things anymore. And that's the important part. Alright, so that's going. How's our efficiency module going? We got 40 efficiency module 3s. Cool. Something has happened on Novice. No, something has happened on Gleba. What happened up there? We lost a pipe somehow. Well, there's only one thing to do about that, and that is just pop another laser turret there, which we'll have to do at some point in the future, I guess. Okay, so this whole area, you need a power pole. You need drone coverage in the area. And let's just expand that drone coverage all the way down to there. And there. Okay, did I leave all of my stuff in... I left all of this stuff in the wrong type of box. So let's just make those passive provider chests so that we can have access to all of it while building. Which should get this all covered. Alright, so those are now provider chests, and we now have plenty of stuff to pick up all of that. And that should get built now. So that has range. This is receiving its Yumiko mash. This is successfully making carbon. Alright, so that should be carbon fiber produced. Meanwhile, what's our science? Okay, science is absolutely abysmal at the moment. And it's still chemical science. It's still because of the advanced circuits. That is entirely unsurprising. So we do have more red circuit production now, in theory. In practice, it's still nowhere near enough. We really need more productivity modules to get stuff done. So that is going. And these guys are running. I'm not entirely sure why. Because they're just refilling. This one is refilling as well. So those two should be done eventually. And then we should stop needing more productivity modules. And then hopefully the extra plastic will eventually trickle through to extra science. Alright, so Vulcanist support is back over here. And alright, we did use some big mining drills, so we're going to need to grab more. Okay, what is this? Then that's more stuff happening on Novice, which is still fine. And we have some plastic production here on Vulcanus. We're about to get another rocket even, so that's cool. Alright, so this is all going strong. Now, how is our Tier 3 speed modules going? Low on red circuits. Very much unsurprising. But we do have a couple of them at least. And that is unfortunately going to be more plastic demand here. Alright, so that is going. That's going strong. Everything here is fine. I assume power is fine. Okay, it's... Actually, power is getting used a lot. But it looks manageable. Yeah, okay, we're fine. Vulcanist nights are insanely short. So that sort of stuff happens. Alright, so we did get another rocket ready to go. And please choose tungsten. No, you've chosen foundries. How is it that the one thing I want you to deliver is just your absolute lowest priority under all circumstances? Like, you will deliver literally anything before tungsten. Okay, so this is happening, and we really just need the artillery to wipe out the nests. I guess we can add more laser turrets in to get them killed faster. And that's about as much as we can do. Alright, so this is still going. The coal demand seems to have slowed a little bit. It's still absolutely insane, but we have our full supply of coal. And we have what looks like a full supply of plastic as well. So that's good news. That's very good news. So with that much plastic, we have plenty of red circuits, and science per minute is going up. Alright. So that's a big success. So now I guess we would want to make these guys up here produce even faster. Which means, I guess, we copy-paste some of this stuff. And we get you up here. The output belt's right. No, the output belts are wrong there. We need to flip you vertically. and horizontally. Okay, no, that's going to mess up the output belt direction either way, but it's fine because we can just flip that back that way. Okay. So now that is set up. And apparently we're upgrading or downgrading or doing something with some of those belts in there. And then the whole thing needs to get powered. I think that needs an extra power pole there. And that should be slightly better now. Should be slightly better red circuit production now, which is cool. Just launched a rocket. Not sure for what. It's for Gleba support. They're getting some of this stuff in. That's perfectly fine. Alright, so you aren't getting enough carbon. Are our drones all busy? No. Why are you not getting... Oh, because I never requested it. That's why. Duh. Have to put that in there to get carbon. And that should give us a supply of carbon fiber. There's some there. Alright, so that's all set up and running now. So now that we have carbon fiber, we can... What were we doing here? Something to do with... There was something that carbon fiber did for us. Oh, it was stack inserters, right. So we also need to make bulk inserters and processing units for that. Alright. Let's call that some progress for now. Vulcanus support just left Vulcanus. We have 2 rockets, 3 rockets actually, prepared. And we did get, finally, some tungsten plates. So that's exciting. We're going to get some artillery back here. And that will be hopefully good enough. Now you are, I assume, an end product, so you're not going to be productivity modulable. This, we have a room for an additional stack, which I do not think we need. So let's just have that be finished where it is. What is this? You're short on plastic. Okay, that should be recovering now, I would think. I don't know where our official plastic supply is for the drone network, but it's probably somewhere. Okay, let's get a power pole there to just get that. This area is an absolute nightmare of power poles. Alright, so those are all in. And how does the power grid... Power grid seems to be fine on Novice. Alright. Something just sent some efficiency modules down for some reason. Not sure why it's done that. Must be the Foundation Crafter. But I guess just because it has spares. Alright, we're up to 60 of these, so we're almost done with that. We have all the spoilage we need for it. Alright, things are going quite well, I would say. So Gleba support is here. It's receiving its science. Stack inserters. We're going to need to do so much fixing up on Gleba at some point. Like this, if we want to make this properly functional for more than just science, we're going to need a lot of work. Okay, so back on Novice. Blue circuits are always the problem. And yeah, so it's red circuits, still not enough red circuits. But we are occasionally getting some through. So that's exciting. Now, how much can we expand this? We can bring this up into this area. Yeah, let's do that. Let's copy. Okay, this is just copying a giant mess of incredibly janky belts, but it'll be fine. So if we copy you up into here, and then we can even like flip you, no, not flip you vertically, flip you horizontally, then put you in there, and then we can get our wire up into that, and our green circuits and plastic up into this, and then the output belts just come down and across this way, and then into there, and then down across that way, and then in. That should be like doubled-ish red circuit production, assuming that we have enough of everything else, which is a big assumption, of course, but worst case, we'll know what our next limiting factor is, and we can work on fixing that. Alright, so that is already up and running, and it's taken all the plastic it can get. Okay, now, how slow is this belt? It looks like it's basically max speed red belt for most of the ways, except for when it's randomly a blue belt, and then a decent chunk of it gets used here on the low density structures. Alright. It does look like it might be backlogging a little bit, even as it is, although now the green circuits look like they're mostly the problem. Yeah, it looks like green circuit production might now be the limiting factor. Alright, so we have all these guys in, making green circuits. So you just make a giant box of green circuits, and currently that box isn't doing anything, so this is being wasted. Okay, let's see if we can just make use of this then. So we need you to go up here and let's see, we might be able to squeeze it in just in this spot by moving this beacon back. Alright, so let's get rid of that. Let's get rid of those random power poles. Move this beacon up to there. And speed module you. So then this can go up to there and around and back down. Alright. So that should help keep the green circuit supply topped off a little bit, although actually, no, I have a better idea. We might be able to do this. Okay, not from this angle, but if we have you go over this way and then turn up to here, then, alright, we need to have that just be there. Then you go like that. And then our green circuits go into there. And that should be pretty efficient at getting all that covered. Alright, just need a couple more belts to get placed. And there we go. Now we have a little bit of an extra supply of green circuits going along this side. And that should keep the red circuits flowing. Really, we need to just expand this into space or something, basically. So this is something like green and red circuit production we can use space for, so it won't drain actual ground-based supplies. Alright, so this Vulcanus support is most of the way back to Novice. It's got its tungsten plates. Meanwhile, Vulcanus has almost entirely full rockets. This one is just missing a couple blue circuits. Alright, I think we are sort of getting ahead of the coal demand on Vulcanus ever so slowly. We're getting that done. Okay. Now our science production is still pretty much the worst. Okay, you need a spoilage output. So let's get that set up. Because apparently that's a problem for that one in particular. So there we go. That's something at least. And yeah, the blue science is still the problem, and red circuits are still the problem here. Although we can make pretty significant improvements, I guess. So if we just clear out these speed modules in here and replace them with productivity modules, that will make that a lot better. So that will be an improvement. And how's our red circuit supply going? Alright, we're back to the point where plastic is the problem, which might just be a speed limiting thing. Yeah, that's just simply because of speed. Alright, so let's see if we can we like edit the upgrade planner to not just upgrade everything? I just want everything to be blue belts. So let's do that and keep you going. No, I messed that all up entirely. Why are you like this? You just become like that. And we just have to keep this going. Yes, we just have to keep this going as far as the entire thing. Alright, just a little bit more. We are making good progress. We have a long ways to go, though. Assuming that I haven't messed up and gotten this on the wrong belt somehow, which I don't think I have. No, this is the right belt. Good. Alright, so this goes up to here, and then it makes that curve, goes under there, under that one, across there, all the way up to here, and okay. This does need to go underground to avoid conflict with that. So then you just turn like that, and now we have a big underground mess. And up here, and then from there up to here. Wait, that's wrong. Oh, wait. So that, right, we have the filter there. So this is the side which needs the plastic. And that gets upgraded along that way. And then up through there onto this half belt. So that half belt then gets upgraded. And from there we should be fine. We should have either used up all the plastic, or yeah, we should have used up most of the plastic. That would cause it to be limited by speed at that point. So that all goes in, and now this looks a lot better. There we go. Alright, so now the plastic supply looks good, and it should be just producing as fast as it can, more or less. These guys shouldn't be output full anymore. Alright, so that is another mild improvement, and it looks like it might be a pretty significant one actually, because these guys are getting plastic now. And we're about to get plastic productivity research, which is going to be incredibly useful for all of this stuff. And did we get ammo? Volcano support is headed back. I don't see any tungsten there. So we must have, right? I didn't see that go any. You are set up to request tungsten plates. Alright, so it must have just happened really fast. Alright, let's check. Do you have artillery? No. Where might there be artillery with ammo now? We are getting attacked a lot, which is, I suppose, a sign that something has happened to do with artillery. Okay, this side is not well defended at all. We need more laser turrets in there. So that's fine now. Alright. We brought in all that tungsten, and it just seems to have just vanished. So hopefully something happened with it. Be a shame if it just failed completely. Alright, red circuit production is now wire limited. And the wire is doing its best, basically. We just need a lot of wire to get anything done here. And I mean, we have what looks like most of a full green belt here of wire. So if that's not enough, then we're just sort of in trouble. Although I guess we could get more copper plates up here. Actually, these guys are weirdly not fully productivity moduled. So let's make sure that improvement happens everywhere we craft wire. These guys are all productivity moduled. So that should be more efficient on the plate usage, at least. And then this is basically using the ore. Yeah, no, we're definitely using up all the copper ore we can get. And are these all properly moduled? Yes, they are. So then the only thing we can do from there would be to increase the copper ore speed. So I guess we might be able to upgrade this belt to green. Alright, let's see if we can manage that. So let's just pop an upgrade planner and then drag it all the way over to there and all the way over to there. We're upgrading a whole bunch of just random unrelated junk in the process, which is a bit wasteful, but it should be fine. So then that goes across to there. Hopefully we have the green belts for this. If not, we'll need another delivery from Vulcanus, which shouldn't be too bad. And then we'll have to see if the copper mining is actually enough to manage all that, because that could then become the limiting factor. Alright, we're still missing a couple of green belts, which are making this whole thing not really that much faster. Alright, so all the green belts are in, and I can't tell if it's fully saturated or not. But it looks like it should be, at least back on this side. Yeah, I mean, that looks fine, probably, and this is definitely going further into there than it was. So then, from that point, we might just need this belt itself to be faster. Let's see, is this backlogging? Yes, so this is now definitely backlogging, so let's do the old upgrade planner to this, and it should just be needed past the splitter where all that stuff gets added in. Alright, so that all gets upgraded, and past all of the wire production we should be fine. There we go. Stuff's all getting built out. And bam, more plates. More plates means more wire, which should mean more red circuits. Okay, something is being damaged on Gleba. How? I just sort of don't understand why these guys are exploding when it shouldn't be an issue. It really should not be an issue. But it seems to be an issue. So what you gonna do? Alright, so this is heading back to Vulcanus. The trips are so slow. So over on Vulcanus, we're still in this position where we were last time. We might have those modules finished now. Where were we making those modules? We had, yes, we have 14 of them. They're low on red circuits. Yeah, okay, so that is that problem still. I remember that. Gosh, it's crazy that this hasn't even made a single trip since then. It actually just takes ages to get anywhere. It is running successfully though. Like, I'm not seeing any major issues with it. I think we might want to just, like, make another one of these. Like, if we just have 2 of these, theoretically that would be twice as much coal. Deliveries would happen twice as quickly, and that would just be good all around. Alright, so are there any upgrades we want to make before we try just copying this? We could upgrade to tier 3 efficiency modules, I guess, and that would require less solar panels. How does the power look? The power looks pretty good. We might be able to trim a couple solar panels anyways. And we might be able to get higher tier speed modules over here, which would make the whole thing a bit more secure. But I think, as far as the actual production goes, that's something which we should address. So we are technically using the asteroids as they arrive, right? Like whenever this saturates back up to here, we send stuff up to there, and that gives us a big burst of carbon, and then we do a lot of this. So I think this is technically just limited by the asteroid supply. Right. So if this is limited by the asteroid supply, and the asteroids are just cycling, so maybe faster asteroid recycling would be important. But it's not like these guys are overfilling or anything. I think the problem was actually that they couldn't pick up asteroids fast enough when they were going at full speed in the center of everything. But yeah, I think this is probably about as good as we're gonna get. So there's some tungsten plates, a whole bunch of them, and there's apparently more on the way. Alright, let's just scroll out, copy that whole thing, make a new space platform, Vulcanus support 2, and we're just gonna make another one, because it's gonna be easier to do that if we're limited by asteroid supply. It's going to be easier to make more platforms and figure out how to get more asteroids onto this thing. So we have another 500 tungsten plates apparently just actively being loaded up. I guess with our drones, with the drone supply we have here, it's not super fast. Alright, so that is that. Vulcanus Support 2 has been created. Cannot build in an uncharted area. Okay, well what if I just do that? That seems to have worked. Maybe? Okay, I'm not sure what happened there, but it worked. Cool. You love to see it. So this is going to take a whole lot of foundations, a whole lot of rocket launches to get that up and running, so hopefully it's worth it. But the original Vulcanus support has everything but big mining drills, which there are only 17 of on planet. Why is that? What is wrong with the big mining drill production? You don't get tungsten carbide. Why don't you get tungsten carbide? Is one of these belts supposed to be giving it that to you? Let's see here. Tungsten carbide is supposed to be this belt, which goes up here around this way and then down onto here. Yes, okay. So the problem with the tungsten carbide, let me shut you off because you take carbon, which is just coal. Okay, let's activate these, I guess. It's kind of unhinged to be converting from carbon to coal and then back up to carbon. But we do need tungsten carbide for all sorts of things. So I guess we're just going to have to bite the bullet on that one. It's inefficient, but better than working out a whole separate carbon supply. Alright, and yeah, so now this is actually just, I mean, we have all of that. Alright, we're about to leave because we don't have enough asteroids, which is good. So if we're running out of asteroids, that means we're converting everything that we can. And that's pretty much fine. So does this also copies the settings, so that's cool. This is going to take forever to build. We are very, very slowly making progress on Vulcanist Support 2. We'll get there eventually. We actually have a backlog of plastic. That's incredible. I love to see that. And we're taking a whole bunch of tungsten plates back to Novice, which hopefully will enable us to do all sorts of fun stuff with artillery. Alright, so what else is there? We can go back to our red circuit supply for a minute, see what's up with you. No copper. What's wrong with the copper? Not enough ore. And the ore supply is just slow, I guess. Or occasionally interrupted. We're losing a whole bunch of drones still. We still have plenty of them. Although we might need to turn on drone production again at some point. I'm hoping I can delay that. Alright, so now these guys have all of the supplies they need. So let's just give them some speed modules so that they can go faster. So that can get set up. And improve science. We're almost done with plastic bar productivity, which is neat. Okay, Vulcanist support is headed back. Vulcanist support 2 is still laughably far from anything significant. Foundation crafter. Let's have you launch your whole supply of foundations, and then you should now probably be wanting to leave, right? So now that that is all going, you should detect that signal soon, right? Yes. So that's greater than 0. Check. Oh, you're not even set to automatic mode. That's what happened. Alright, so yeah, now you can head off and dump this last little bit of foundations so that we can just have this producing for Vulcanist support 2, which we have 4,000-ish. That's a number which is fluctuating wildly. I guess because drone ports. So we have 4,000-ish foundations down on Novice, which should be enough to keep this launching for a good while. And then it's just going to be a matter of, can the Foundation Crafter craft enough foundations before Vulcanist Support 2 needs them all? And plastic bar productivity is higher than ever. Science is up to 45 per minute, which is pretty bad, but fine relative to what we've been struggling with this whole time. So we're going to get plastic bar productivity real quick. And what, just another 25 of those, so another half a minute. Very cool. Vulcanist Support is heading back with a whole supply of tungsten plates. Should be very useful for us. Novice is filling up a box of space platform foundations. Plastic bar productivity done. Fantastic. Let's get Captivity doing that next. So we can do that, and that will unlock all sorts of weird stuff, which I guess will be cool. So this is estimated 21 minutes at the current rate, which I am a bit skeptical it can keep up, but we'll see. So we are building out. It sort of builds out in a circle, though not quite circular. Alright, Vulcanist Support number 1. It's just so slow, is the thing. I don't know why it's this slow. Alright, so we're going to probably run into resource shortages for constant rocket launches pretty soon. Hopefully we won't, but it's probably going to happen. Probably going to run out of blue circuits. Alright, so this is... We're still waiting on our tungsten plates. I just want to see what happens to them all once they do show up. Okay, over on Vulcanus, how are things going? We are short of plastic again, but we actually have a decent backlog of blue circuits. And this is still down at 14. So red circuits have not been showing up to that. Crazy stuff continues to happen on Novice. Alright, so blue circuits are still the limiting factor, right? That's just always going to be the case for whatever reason. Alright, so let's get these guys speed moduled up so that we can get more engine units. And I just don't like how slow these belts are. It doesn't actually matter for their current throughput, but let's just make those fast. There we go. That's marginally more appealing. And let's do the same thing here. So this goes across to here. And then down to there. And then across to there. And that is that. Actually, this belt is 45 items per second, and the science per minute there. How is that actually happening? Is that how the speed works? Oh, that's per second, and that's per minute. Right, obviously. They just happen to be the same values. Okay, so Foundation Crafter is doing its thing, crafting foundations. And it actually seems like it might be a little bit stuck. Okay, no, it's fine. It is going. Alright, so it's going. It's producing another couple hundred foundations. So that's probably all set. This, meanwhile, is now accelerating since it's past the midpoint. Yeah, let's see if we can go back to Novice and just, like, get higher tier thrusters, like, with quality modules, maybe. I wish there was an easy way of seeing what I had in the drone network without... Oh, I actually am on the planet. Alright, so quality modules. How many of those do we have? We have a filter for them somewhere in here. Where is that? There it is. We have 48 in storage, 48 on my physical body. So let's see here. Green and red circuits are still having issues. And this is still happening. So a decent chunk of copper is actually going over this way and into these copper plate production areas, which is taking away from the red circuit production, but is probably necessary. And then really the problem is that this isn't designed in a way which keeps things even. Sorry about that, I had to sneeze real quick. Alright, so I think ultimately the problem is we need more copper. So this is a little bit short even as it is right now. If we get more copper ore into these belts, then that would make a pretty significant difference. Alright, what if we get that just like in here? What is this supposed to be and why isn't it? Okay, so this is the iron supply, which is just the train is temporarily not here. Okay. So what if we have you branch off this way and then curve down. I don't know, let's have that in there as like the furthest off we can go. And this would then be like no space at all. So this is the solar panel production. How much can we mess with this without having issues? And if not, can we just put this somewhere else? Solar panel production, we have a couple of them, and they're not really being used for much. Okay, let's see. We should be able to just make this more space efficient. So if we cut out that water pipe and instead you can come all the way back here and do that. And then we can do the same thing for this oil pipe. So you can go all the way over this way into there. And so that doesn't change any production, but is more space efficient. So now if we want this to do a quick turnaround, Is there enough space? No, I guess it's offering us the ability to go above ground, which I guess. Did we ever unlock that? Is that a thing? Yeah, we did technically unlock ramps and supports. Not going to do that, though. Seems like a silly idea. Alright, so then you would go back to like that. And that signal would need to be moved. I hope it just didn't cause a crash by doing that. Alright, so then you can be like that, and then how much space do we still need? We still need so much space. Although we can't actually just like take advantage of this space up here, because that's not being used for anything. I don't know what that was part of our train system design thing. Let's just get rid of all that. Alright, so this should be able to turn around up here, right? No, apparently not. Okay, but you can go like that and then back down that way. Alright, we've done it. We should be able to fit a train stop in here. And yeah, so the train stop goes there. And then we get a train refueler, which can just go somewhere in that general vicinity. And then we need them to actually put the station in before we can figure out where exactly the boxes go. Alright, station is in. So then these go like this. And we just do 3 each, because why not? And then they get filled up. And then this whole thing gets powered. And then the power just has to connect over to anywhere with the power pole, which we can just do over that way. And now you are a copper destination. There we are. And then the inserters keep on going. And now we just need to merge all these guys up. Like this. And like this. And then you just do that. Bring this one over to here. And now we have our singular belt, which can carry all the copper ore that we need. And then this belt will go up here. And let's see here. We should be able to fit in there and then around that way. And then merge in. There we go. So, we have that. So you are waiting at a copper destination. How is our copper supply? This one down here doesn't have a train at it, but it does now. So that is going to load up real quick. And that seems like it's probably our primary copper source. Yeah, probably. Speaking of which, this is our primary iron source, and it needs... well, it needs all these guys to get connected up properly. So let's just do that, and then add an additional row of miners in there. So now that's all set up. Vulcanist support is headed back to Vulcanus, which means it did deposit the tungsten. So is that a thing that's happening? Yes, it is. We have 500 of that left. And we are making artillery shells and then just instantly sending them out. So, let's see here. That should be solving some of the biter problems, potentially, maybe. It's also realistically just going to be antagonizing the biters a whole lot, which is probably not ideal. How much does this take? This takes like a couple tungsten per shot, but not like an insane amount or anything. Alright, let's get you speed moduled up so that you can just do this as fast as you can so that we can have some faster effect. Because every shot is going to be antagonizing the biters, so if we can wipe out entire nests faster, then that will be better. Alright, so that is that. And you're just going. Vulcanist support 2. Still crafting along. Foundation Crafter is still waiting over Vulcanist. Okay, no, it's not still waiting over Vulcanist. It must have left and came back. Alright, that's fine. Totally good with that. You are doing fine on foundations. We don't have low density structures now. So why is that? Not enough copper plates. Well, I've done everything I can on that front. We might need another train. Let's see here. So you are waiting at the destination. You're at this source, which is just a joke. And we only have one train down there. What's going on? Okay, this corner is apparently just extremely vulnerable. Probably got hit by... Is there artillery in this region? I don't see any. I don't see any, but there must have been, right? Alright, so you guys get more laser turrets. And I'll also give you a substation, just so that your power supply is a bit further back out of harm's reach. And then let's just connect that back to there. And then let's also make sure to double wall you. That should be fine. Alright, so now it's actually short on explosives. So, how is the explosive production going? This is just going based speed, plenty of sulfur. Alright, you can be speed moduled. We're not using anything that we're particularly short on, I don't think. So you can be speed moduled, hopefully get enough explosives going. So this is taking 1.46 explosives per second max. This is now producing 0.94. Okay, well let's get another speed mod. Let's get some more speed modules into you with some of that. Just a beacon hopefully will do the trick. Alright, that's fine. That's all good. captivity has stopped research entirely. There's no blue circuits, or no blue science. The reason we're not getting any blue science, despite the fact that our blue science machines are clearly running, is what? I don't see any gear wheels on the belts. What's happened to all of our iron gear wheels? Why? Oh, we're just straight up out of iron. Temporarily, yes. Alright, we are temporarily having a pretty significant iron crisis. Wonderful. So that is something that we can fix with space or with just expanding out here. So do we have just convenient iron patches? We've got that one just right up barely north of us, which we could grab. And then there's some of this stuff in here. Yeah, okay, that might be something that we need to deal with. This corner is apparently going crazy. We have artillery now firing out of here, which is probably mostly why. Alright, so we have this iron patch up here, which we can feed into this. Alright, let's get that area set up. So we are going to first need... We're definitely going to need drone coverage to reach up here, right? It's definitely not going to do that naturally. Alright, so let's just get you up there. That should be plenty. Then we get our laser wall blueprint, which we're just gonna build around this area. And then take that corner around this way. And then another corner. And back down this way. Alright, so that should be covered. And then we should be able to just do big mining drills on here to make this more efficient. So we get some big mining drills. And this just has to go in to all of those places and then down to here. Like that. And we are covering like 99% of the area with this. So now we just need to get substations in to make sure that all these guys are powered. And then we can run belts down there and there. And we'll see if these substations reach. I think they should. They should reach. And then we just have to get you over to there. So now we just have this belt, which we can just take all the way down to here, and then into this, I guess. I don't know. Why not? You can do that. Alright, so that should provide an additional chunk of ore, which should keep these guys running constantly. And hopefully that will be fine, as this iron ore setup is starting to fail. Let's get a couple power poles up there, because we apparently missed that. And this belt is apparently set up wrong, so let's get that in. Alright, so that is fine. Hopefully we can expand iron and copper ore up into space soon so that we won't have to worry about this quite so much. The more stuff we do in space, the less we have to deal with this annoying, constantly replacing stuff process. Okay, so this is still waiting on gear wheels. Okay, so the problem is, I think, gear wheels only take iron from this chunk in here, which is not exactly the first priority in terms of plate supply. So let's get you in there, and you are going to supply iron plates. And that should be cleared now. Wait, okay, no. And then you need to not exist right up there. So this is now manually inputting iron plates in like that. And these should be productivity moduled, with potentially one of them made into a beacon for speed. Alright, so that should get that going in the short term. In the long term, we are going to need an actual supply of iron plates into the logistics network now. So just something like that ought to be fine. Alright, so that's all set up. And there goes an artillery shot, wiping out another nest over there. How much of this stuff do we have still? We still have another couple hundred. Still mostly limited on the explosives, but it should be a whole lot better now. This is like 1.39 per second as opposed to 1.46, so that's like basically the same. Alright, so that's cool. Now Vulcanus support is back at Vulcanus, and it is loading up. It's got more tungsten. Okay, why are you still... Oh, you're waiting for the rocket to arrive. That's what's happening. So you've sent a rocket up, and you're just waiting for it to come back. Yeah, there we go. And now you are headed back to Novice with your supply of tungsten plates. Okay, Foundation Crafter has left to get more. Vulcanus Support 2 is still doing its thing. Novice is getting hit by retaliation attacks. Alright, I mean, things are going pretty well. Once Vulcanus Support 2 is up and running, it'll be a lot nicer to get stuff from there. But already, the tungsten plates aren't... Well, okay, they might wind up being the limiting factor, just because of how long it's going to take for this to get there, but, I mean, they last quite a while, honestly. So I'm not too worried about that. And obviously that's also with having to throw an extra 50 in to have this all stockpiled up and ready to go, which was probably not cheap at all. Alright, captivity. Currently not researching. Why not? What's going on? We are crafting belts using these gear wheels, and they are just not making it up here. Alright, well, I guess having belts crafted is important, so that's fine. but I will take you out and make you a beacon. So you get speed modules so that these guys can go crazy fast and make all the gear wheels we could ever want. So currently this is 1.86 per second. Once the speed modules go in, it should be like twice as fast, probably. Yeah, more than twice as fast per machine. Obviously this one's not affected, but that's fine. Okay. So we are continually just shelling over this way, which makes sense because we keep getting hit along the side. Let's make sure you're double walled just to be sure. And there's another nest gone. We're starting to get a bit of breathing room. It's not perfect, but it's something. Yeah, so I don't think we have total coverage on absolutely everywhere where we might need to put shells, but like I don't think we have artillery up in this side, for example, so we're gonna have to put more guns down. But I think I want to wait for the guns we have to have things under control before we start spamming more. Alright, so yeah, we're now about at the point we're going to be running out of tungsten. Won't be that much longer, and then it also won't be that much longer before this makes it back and gives us more. So that's going well. Vulcanist support 2, slowly but steadily. Foundation Crafter has crafted a whole bunch of foundations as promised. It's in the name, and it seems to be working. Alright, so you are going to be back over Novice now. There you are. So let's drop all that stuff off. And that supply should mean we now have enough here. We're going to have to wait for them to land. But we should have enough foundations on Novice to fully craft Vulcanist support. Let's see. Yes. Available on planet is now greater than satisfaction. So, now the only thing keeping us from getting that set up is the rocket launch rate, which is limited by low density structures. And low density structures are limited by copper plates, but they do seem to be getting them. So that's fine. This is a situation where having better productivity modules would be handy. But it's going fine. We have the plastic, we have the steel, and the copper plates are here, just not 100% of the time. Alright, so this is going along nicely. Is this backing up, actually? It is backing up a little bit. Okay, let's have this actually just run a second belt around there, which will be output priority right, and you're going to be input priority right, so this should just be like a supplemental belt to keep things from backing up. It shouldn't be used all that much, but it'll probably be somewhat beneficial. So there we go. Now that is happening. This should be more or less full, while the other side is just making sure that things keep going at a fast rate. Yeah, we are actually using a non-trivial amount of the second belt, it looks like. Alright, so that is cool. That looks like we need faster belts across here. And then past that point should be fine again because we're using a whole bunch of it. Alright, so that is set up. And we're going to have to run all of our blue belts over to there. Captivity is up to 85%. And hopefully that can be done soon. Alright, it looks like let's just upgrade that all the way just so that it's upgraded all the way. Get all these annoying red belts out. There we are. Alright, so that is that. And over here, the gear wheels seem to be making it through nicely. Green circuits are going, and engines are being produced, and science is being produced. So let's see, that's showing 47 science per minute. These guys are showing like a total of 1-ish science per second, so that adds up to being mostly correct, I guess. Alright. Pretty neat. Vulcanist support 2, still limited by low density structures, which now have access to all the supplies they need. Let's just get a whole row of beacons back here. Just... is that even close enough? No, it's just barely not close enough. Okay then. Unfortunate. If we had higher quality beacons, I believe they reach farther, and that would be pretty cool. But we currently don't have that. So I guess we can just get a beacon in there. And that's probably... okay, no, we can get you to be a beacon, which means you need to lose that output and go there. Alright, so that's a little bit faster on the low density structure production. So that's cool. Alright, so with all that said, that is still going to be a pretty major limiting factor, but it'll be better than it was. So now this... okay, captivity finished. So now we need to capture a spawner, which means we need a capture bot rocket to get some biter eggs, which we can turn into nutrients, which I guess lets us get nutrients here more easily. Alright, so that's going to have to be a thing that we actually go out and physically do. Before then, what do we research? What do we want to research? Well, let's research something that doesn't require blue science. Just that, I guess. And we can also get, like, fish breeding as well. Alright, so... if I just go back to my physical body for the first time in a while... capture bot rocket. We need flying robot frame and bioflux. And that captures nests and turns them into something. Okay. And that gives us something useful, right? There was some reason we're going down that route. It gives us productivity module 3s, which require biter eggs. That's going to be a bit of a process. That's going to be a bit of a process, but productivity module 3s are probably going to be worth it. So let's figure out, we need to get Bioflux back here. Bioflux lasts pretty long, right? Yeah, Bioflux lasts pretty long. So if we just get the rest of this stuff, go to Glebus support, and you are going to ask for... How much can this stack? The rocket can carry a bunch, so you're going to ask for just like 200 Bioflux. And then Gleba, we're going to have to bring that Bioflux over, which I guess we're going to have a requester chest for. So we do something like that. And we're going to need to get this corner of things into the drone network, apparently. Alright, so then... Do we have Bioflux in the logistics network? Oh, probably down here? Yes, we do. So that's our sort of spare Bioflux. So we should be able to get that set up relatively easily. And then that should fill it up with Bioflux if we needed to. Although actually what we should do is we should just cut off both of those. Make you a passive provider chest and then just do the whole automatic request thing. Alright, so you are set up to automatic request the Bioflux, so that should be fine. And we should get that back here on Novice, where we are going to need to just set up a spot to craft it. So let's find some empty space. I don't know why I'm running around here manually now. Okay, we finished health 2. Let's get... is there anything else here? Fish breeding, sure. And then everything else probably requires blue science, because it's like one of the most basic types of science. Alright, so then you get a box. You're going to be Capture Bot Rocket. And so this box needs steel, blue circuits, because of course it needs blue circuits, and it needs flying robot frames and Bioflux. Flying robot frames and Bioflux. So I think we need to attach flying robot frames to the drone network. So that's you. And all of these guys. So they're all working. And then they output onto this belt, which just goes up here, and okay, it does go into that, which I'm not sure what exactly it's doing with all those, but let's get these guys with some beacons, just because that definitely can't hurt. So you guys get beacons, and you get better productivity modules now that you can manage them without being extra slow. Alright, so that is that. And now whatever the flying robot frames are being used for, you should have them. And we power you up and give you an output box like that. So you have everything you need. Not many flying robot frames, but you don't need that many. Sorry about that. I had to sneeze real quick. So then that should produce these, and let's just keep like 2 stacks of them. They stack to like 10, which is fine. Alright, so Gleba support is coming back, and it has a whole bunch of bioflux with it. Although, first of all, why does it have so much? I only asked for like 200. And second of all, most of this is like pretty close to spoiling, which I guess doesn't matter because we're just going to be using it instantly. Yeah, I guess that's fine actually. Okay, and then Gleba support is just doing whatever it does, which I assume is fine. Vulcanist support 2 is slowly getting built out. Vulcanist support 1 is bringing more tungsten. Actually, wait, why do you have... Oh, you aren't set up to take everything, are you? This is only set up to take like 500 at a time. Right, so we have to go into here and set you to 1,000. Alright, so that shouldn't happen again in the future. Still producing shells, not quite as fast as we can fire them, which hopefully will change once we get things under control, which is very much starting to happen. Like, that's another nest basically gone. And these guys are taking even more shells down there. Gosh, I cannot wait for things to be more under control with the biter situation. Alright, so now we've let the chemical science build up for a bit, so it won't be the limiting factor for at least a little while. In the meantime, we get to go absolutely crazy with the science, because we only need like 2 types, which we have both of. So this is now going well, and that looks fine. And I really should have a better way of supplying coal than this, but I think this is what we're doing, at least for now. I mean, we have the logistics drones for it, right? Like, we have... This only takes a couple hundred, so apparently it's fine. Okay, fish breeding finished. Hooray. Low density structure productivity would be nice. Yeah, let's get that going. Can never have too much low density structure productivity, especially since that is probably still the limiting factor on production. Although it's actually going well now. So yeah, it is still the limiting factor, although it's not quite that bad. It's faster than it was, that's for sure. Still looking a bit low on copper plates. Alright, so Vulcanist support is going back to Vulcanist with more coal. And how is Vulcanist looking? Still never enough red circuits, and never enough plastic. That's all unsurprising. The tungsten carbide also not looking incredible, although it is also looking a lot better than it was. So yeah, I guess we are slowly but surely getting there. We still only have 14 speed modules. The red circuits, where did the red circuits get added into the drone network here? So they output to this, the other side of this belt. They go up and over there. I think they probably just don't get put into the logistics network then. So that's probably explains that. Okay, our calcite mines are starting to... I mean, we've only used like a corner of it. So let's just make sure to get that fixed before it becomes an actual problem. So let's just add in a couple of you guys. And then a couple more over here. And then that just goes down and into that. Okay, do we have substations here? Very well might. Okay, it seems like we do, based on the fact that that is placed properly. So we can get rid of all of those useless ones. Get that substation in there. And then this whole thing should be powered up. Do we craft substations here, or do we just like have a box of them? We craft them. Very cool. Alright, so that is set up, and I guess... yeah, that should be... Actually, some of this goes over this way, so this actually doesn't quite work correctly. So let's dismantle all of that, get a splitter, and one side of the splitter goes that way, one side of the splitter goes that way, and that is our brand new calcite supply. Alright, that all goes in, and off it goes. Fill up the other side of this belt, which apparently needs it. Yeah, okay, so that should be fine. And then back on Novice, still printing ammo. And just to confirm, this isn't gonna be productivity modulable, right? Right. Alright, so you get your speed module back. That's fine, just needed to check. Alright, and it's going. Vulcanist Support 2 is very slowly chipping away at it. And yeah, so that's still going. This is just the limited by the speed that we can launch stuff, which is really going to be my next big project in space. Is I want to create a space platform that provides the low density structures and blue circuits and maybe even rocket fuel, so that we don't have to worry about doing all that stuff using our ground-based production. The more of the space-based stuff can just be dealt by space itself, the more convenient it is and the less time we have to spend worrying about getting the two to work together. Alright, so that is going. Foundation Crafter is still crafting foundations, which is perfectly fine. We're going to need a lot of them for like every future project ever, so that's certainly not going to be harmful. Vulcanist Support is doing its thing as well. Alright, so you only have some of that. You're short on advanced circuits because Vulcan is being short on advanced circuits. What an iconic duo. At least we have plenty of rockets now, so that's not like a major issue anymore. Alright, so back over on Novice. Did we ever get that stuff from Gleba? No, I never told the... Oh, I never told the thing to actually ask for it. So So that's why. So you need to ask for, what, just like 200-ish bioflux. And then the next time Gleba's support is back here, it should deal with that. And most of this junk is going to spoil. So do I have this configured to ask for spoilage? I don't, but I probably should, just to make sure that nothing weird happens. So there. Now if any spoilage winds up there, then we can get rid of it. Okay, so the crushers, the space platform foundations. The crushers we don't technically have enough of, but we have enough to launch one rocket, and we can craft the rest of them pretty quickly. So the rest of this is just mostly the foundations. They're so insanely expensive. Although we have made good progress on them. Like, the only big foundation chunk left is this area down here, and a little bit of that over there. So yeah, progress is definitely being made. We have a lot of the stuff like modules and everything up here already, and the furnaces. So that's all good. So back to this one, and it is just doing its thing. It's in orbit of Vulcanus, receiving tungsten plate supplies. And how can I click on the wrong planet twice in a row when there are only 3 options? Fantastic. Alright, so we're making that. Okay, one of these guys, you are not productivity moduled, and you need to be. So let's get that set up. Alright, so that's all set up. Now we are continuing to make a couple of red circuits, which go basically everywhere it needs them. So that's gonna be rough. And we're making some metallurgic science, I guess, because why not? We don't need to store that much metallurgic science, though. So we do that, and Vulcanus support is already heading back with 1,092 tungsten plates. Very cool. Alright, so this is short on tungsten plates, so we're going to need that delivery. But I think things are getting dramatically better now. So this area has been cleared out of biters. Probably this artillery has been firing a little bit. We're gonna need to get more guns down. I'm just waiting for the ones that we have to be all dealt with, all their targets, so that once we get the newer guns down, we can just fire off a bunch of shots real quick and deal with it that way. Okay, low density structure, productivity, research is happening. It's slowing down probably because we ran out of backlogged blue science. But the blue science is getting crafted. So we are getting there bit by bit. Progress is ever so slowly being made. Can we... Oh, we already have speed boosters back there. That's fine then. We don't need to add a third in. Just those two should be plenty. Alright. What else is there to do? Are there any bad modules in here? Any Mark 1 modules? I don't see any. I think we've gotten most of them out by this point. We do have a couple of older machines in, but that's fine. They can just do that. Okay. the the iron supply was short at one point. It looks fine now. At least that stuff over there. Yes, the iron supply looks fine now. So that's good. Yeah, everything looks like it's just sort of chugging along. It's not exactly the fastest and most efficient design, but it is going. So this needs... We need so many rocket launches to get this built, because it's like 50 per launch. And we need like 4,500, so that's rough. We need like 90 launches in order for just the foundations. Is that right? That math seems right, and it seems terrible. But not much we can do, aside from just let it be. Alright, so this, still a teeny bit short on copper. But some does occasionally get all the way down there. Now we could actually... We have a lot of foundries here now, right? We've been importing those. So we could swap over to foundries for resource processing, and that would be more efficient. Although we don't have... We actually do have calcite, right? We've been importing calcite too. Alright, let's see how that works then. Because I know that they are way more efficient. So, if we get in this general area a foundry, and you are going to be melting copper, and another foundry, and you are going to be melting iron, and another foundry, and you are going to be casting low density structures. So let me just take the molten copper and molten iron and plastic and just make it directly from that. Okay, so we would need... How much do these guys make? These guys make like 0.2 per second. Okay, now if for a fair comparison, these should all be productivity moduled, because that's how they would be if we were doing this properly. So let's get all that powered up. Alright, so modules, you do 0.29 per second, and you take... Okay, well actually, do I need to do the math here? I know this is more efficient, because obviously it's a foundry. So, let's just get that set up then. We need to just find a spot to do this that's convenient. Like, honestly, how about down here? We have iron ore, we have copper ore, we have plastic. It's not otherwise in the way of anything. So, we get a foundry. And let's just get 2 foundries and a beacon. Let's say something like this. Actually, may as well have a couple of beacons. And then the whole thing is powered up. And you take copper ore. And we're going to need a calcite belt, which we can just run along this way from a supplier box. So you are going to get calcite and just as much of it as you want. Alright, and then you probably are confused because you're not in the network, because you haven't been placed yet. Yeah, so now we can bring calcite over to here, and it should work out. Although, why does it say we only have 40 calcite in logistics storage? Is it because we're using it all for artillery production? That could be. How much calcite do we have requested here? 500? Alright, that 500 should be enough. So unless we're just short on it, which we have a giant supply coming, so that should be resolved if so. Okay, so where were we? We were down here. So these guys are going to melt some copper. And then form it up there. And now let's get our modules in. Bam, bam, productivity modules. Bam, 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 speed modules. Alright, so now we need those to get set up so that we can have the calcite. Alright, so that's going. And then this will give us our molten copper. Now we just need to take out all this junk. Whatever all that is, get rid of it. Alright, so now that that's all gone, we should be able to fit in a similar setup for iron. So we need the iron pipe to be there, which means we need this to get moved ever so slightly, which is fine. So let's just have that go up a bit further and then come down into there like that. Alright, so now these go in like that and that. Okay, then this needs to get set up properly just back there out of the way, and another one of you. Alright, so then you get some modules, you get some modules, and then we need to have these guys get some modules as well. And now we need the whole thing to be powered. Okay, now it turns out we actually need this belt to be a little bit closer. So we need you to be like that. So you can then supply that, and then we just cut you off, actually. Let's just let you finish. Let's finish, get all of that iron off of this, and then we're gonna convert it into a calcite belt with long-handled inputs. Of course, that's worked out that way. Yeah, okay, so let's just dismantle the belt and then rebuild it. And that'll also get rid of all the iron that's on it. So it's dismantled and rebuilt. And now you request calcite and a whole lot of it. So you are going to melt iron, and you are going to get powered. Okay, so that should just be waiting on the power poles, and then we output to these pipes down here. Alright, so now we have that. We can then move forwards to someone over there. What's going on? Just a billion drones getting zapped. I guess that's fine. Gonna have to deal with them eventually. Alright, so back down to this area. So we have you. You are going to cast low density structures. And we're making like 400 of each. So you... Let's see here. Can I just give you a bunch of beacons and make you work super fast, or am I going to need multiple of these? I guess we can use the rest of this stuff just for smelting, and that would be fine. So this is mostly just to get the ratios figured out. So we have like 406 of each. And when this all gets set up, we're gonna need like 4 of these to deal with all the copper, and then we're not gonna have anywhere near dealt with all of the iron. Okay, I guess that's fine. Okay, so Vulcanist support has just come back, which means we should have more ammo, right? If we go up here. Yes, we have another 1,000 tungsten plates. And how much of the other stuff do we have? Calcite. We have 100 some calcite, so that's going to be the problem in the near future. But also, we have a couple of capture bot rockets. So, let's just... Alright, I keep clicking on space platforms instead of what I actually need to be clicking on. So, we just need to get these 2 pipes into this, and so that you get that, you get the copper pipe, which is going to go around like that. The iron pipe is going to have to be kind of sneaky to get through it all. So you can go underground there. Remove that. You go around here and into there. Alright, so then we just have to get the speed module in. Okay, so you... is that within range to affect you? I think it is. Alright, so now that is functional. We just need you to output to a box, which we can have store a whole bunch. Alright, so your output full until this gets built. And you are just going to be another 0.6 per second, which is decent production. Nothing crazy, but it's something. And we need a power pole there. Alright, so that is that. Now the capture bot rocket, which apparently I was just standing right next to. So let's grab some of those. And did I ever actually make a rocket launcher? I did not. So let's craft one of those. Alright, so that is crafting. Alright, rocket launcher success. Now we toss one of those, fill you in, and then we pop that into there. Okay, do I actually have just regular ammunition? Okay, there's a belt of it here. There's a belt of it here. Is there just like a box? Yes, here's a box. Let's grab a stack of that for my other gun. Throw away the pistol, because who needs that? And alright, we should be good to go. So, in order to get this research, I just need to capture any spawner. So, let's just head on over to the west, where there should be some pretty close, and there's a pretty decent chance that I die trying to do this. Alright, so is this actually a corner that I can squeeze past, or... No, it isn't. Good, but we do have a door here. Alright, we have a door. We have a door. There are biter spawners right out there. Now, how close am I gonna have to get? The answer is pretty close. Okay. The answer is the biters will absolutely obliterate the launcher before it can actually accomplish anything. So, what we need to do is we need to just get rid of all but one spawner. So if we just bring this out to here, and then put a bunch of laser turrets in, hopefully that'll work. Oh geez, this is a bit sketch. Okay. Replace them. Get that going again. Okay, this is not exactly the world's most effective way of doing this. I might actually die. Alright, health is not going great right now. And the biters are not pleased with my decisions. But we should be mostly under control. But there's a second biter nest right back there. Alright, now if I send you off though. Now we should be fine. If I just get lasers in here to zap those guys. Okay. Captive biter spawner. Requires food and will slowly starve if not fed. Transform upon starvation. It can be captured by targeting... Yeah, okay, so... You... I guess we just need to do something like that to get the biter eggs out, maybe. And then you need food, which we need to get nutrients. Alright, this is actually much more of a convoluted process than I thought it would be. Alright, let's run back within drone range. And can we get... Can we get some of that bioflux out here, actually? Do we have any of that right now? No, we don't. Okay, what about spoilage? Do we have any spoilage that we can get out here? No. So how do we get nutrients here? We can get nutrients from biter eggs. Okay, we can get nutrients from biter eggs or from raw fish or from like the normal ways we get nutrients. Gleba support is coming back with a giant supply full of bioflux. So let's set this up to like 300 of that. And where is our this guy? I think the occasional spoilage we're getting, I don't want to go to waste. Okay, we really do not have much time before the captive spider spawner starves. So we are going to need to work fast. Do we have any ability to make nutrients from spoilage? Let's get just a random thing out here. And you are just gonna do that. You request spoilage. And you do nutrients from spoilage. And then this whole thing gets powered up. And then we just have to wait for the power poles to get up there. Alright, we are getting a little bit of spoilage up here. Not that there's much, but it might be enough to get some nutrients. Alright, where is this thing? We need you to... Actually, can we just set you up to be a decider combinator? So if... Where's the drone port? Alright, so we need to get information from the drone port over to this decider combinator. Yeah, I know I can't connect that tree to a wire. I don't want to do that. There we go. So you get information from the drone port, and if spoilage is greater than 1,000, then you're going to output spoilage of 800, I guess. And then you are going to output to there and set requests. Alright. So that should then only take spoilage if we have too much of it, and now we should be able to send all of our spoilage up to there and hopefully make some nutrients. Then, let's see, the nutrients from bioflux is only in biochambers. So we're going to need to grab some biochambers from Gleba. So let's go Gleba support, request a stack of biochambers. So we're going to need those. And yeah, that's going to be a while before those show up, and then we can do that. In the meantime, we are still getting attacked up here. This is going to transform back any second now, and we don't have anything at all to show for it. There's no food we can feed it. And let's just set a couple more laser turrets in here, just for when it starves in like 10 seconds. Alright, and there we go. Okay, so now that's just a regular old biter spawner, which apparently we aren't targeting. So let's just recapture it real quick. So hopefully that recapture will last long enough to keep it under control. And I don't know if it doesn't seem like it spawns while it's being grabbed like that. So that's good to know. So we might be able to grab an entire base by targeting them all at once like that. Maybe. Okay, so in the meantime, we need to get these nutrients. Alright, nutrients have been acquired. So, if we go up here and we pop nutrients in to this, and now we're going to need to get this whole thing connected to the drone network, because that's going to have to happen. Alright, so now we should have a drone carrying our one nutrient over to here. Hopefully that should then start producing the biter eggs, which are what we want out of this whole thing. And it should also stop taking damage and slowly dying, which would be nice. Okay. Oh, its food is only bioflux. Well, that's unfortunate. Is there no other way? Okay, but we do have bioflux, right? I just brought some over? Maybe? No? Did that all spoil? Gleba support, what are you doing with all this bioflux? Okay, you don't need to pick up science. You can just come back to novice real quick. You have biochambers, so that stage of the process should be fine. Alright, so it turns out nutrients aren't the thing that we need. We need bioflux. So let's just set that up correctly. And hopefully it will last. Can I add in fighter capture rockets to my requests? And what does it even take to make those again? It takes spoilage. No, it takes bioflux. Okay, you need to be set to trash unrequested to prevent you from filling up with bioflux. And how much bioflux? A lot. It takes so much. Okay. That's not ideal at all. So Gleba support is coming back. And it's actually capable of moving reasonably quickly. So that should provide us with that. Okay, we've now managed to push it around so that blue circuits are the primary shortage, which I guess is progress. Alright, next research can be productivity module 3s, which hopefully we aren't too far away from having the ability to make. We just need to get bioflux into this guy and also just have it able to not die. We're gonna have to like collect, we're gonna have to like capture an entire thing of these. We can't like dismantle these and move them somewhere, can we? That would be convenient if we could. I hope we can. It's going to be super annoying if we have to deal with it just like out in the wild like this. So this one's about to starve again. But Gleba support is on its way with a cargo of bioflux, so hopefully that's fine. It's going to be pretty close. It's going to be pretty close whether this works or not. So yeah, we need to feed you bioflux in order to both not starve and produce the biter eggs. And once we have the biter eggs spoil into... Well, presumably they spoil into biters or something, right? Like the pentapod eggs do. Alright, so that's happening. But Gleba support is basically here. So here we are. We're launching some random junk. Please launch the bioflux. Alright, you aren't launching the bioflux. I'll have you do it manually then. So I don't know what that's about. And we're probably going to have to grab this again. Probably gonna have to grab him again, which is fine. Alright. So this is still requesting some bioflux. Has any been sent up to here? No, none. None at all. That's annoying. Alright, so you have done that again. Let's just recapture you real quick. It's not exactly the world's most efficient use of bioflux. But it would be better if I had any idea where all of my bioflux was going. Like, I definitely just sent a bunch down, right? No, you never launched it. go back to Novice so that you can launch the bioflux. Why did you not do that? Okay. And bioflux less than 100, I guess. So now that is set up. Hopefully it should work for once. Okay, so now calcite is actually the problem. So is Vulcanist support bringing calcite? It is, but not much. Let's just set that up to like 2000 and set the novice calcite request up considerably as well to like 2000, just so that in the future we get more. It's not quite as urgent as the whole bioflux situation. Alright, so that is now launching. It's taking its time about it, but there we go. So we've launched off a rocket full of bioflux, and so now we should get some up here. Yes, we have deliver 52 incoming. Alright, so I just want to get this bit done. And it's definitely got a bit of a trip, but here it comes. And so this, hopefully it'll also heal it. Does this heal? Yeah, so it heals. And it still isn't producing... Okay, no, it is producing biter eggs. Alright. Cool. So we've got some of those, and they are going to spoil into biters, obviously. So that is going to be a thing that we're going to need to deal with. So let's just, for now, just box them. For now, those are just going to go into a box surrounded by a trillion lasers, and if that doesn't deal with it, I don't know what will. But we have this set up, and apparently pollution is -1, so these actually drain pollution, so that's cool. We might be able to do some nonsense to cheese the pollution situation with that. Alright, so we have our biter eggs, and we can just use those to make productivity module 3s, which I guess let's just do that out here just to say that we did. So you get that, and you get a requester chest with red and blue circuits. Obviously blue circuits are pretty much not doing well at the moment. But there we go. We finished the research right on time. And this should be all set. Now let's add a couple more laser turrets to this. And then also add a wall to keep it properly covered. Alright, so this is, I mean, basically set up at that point. We just need to cover in up to this cliff. And we should be set up here to make the occasional productivity module Mark III. It's going to be occasional because, boy, we need more blue circuits. But it will eventually happen. So let's just queue up laser damage, because that is sort of a significant deal. And then I think we should be good to wrap up the stream. Now these take like half an hour to spoil, so we'll have a little bit of time to deal with them, and then that will be that. So I think we're going to wrap up the stream here. Thanks everyone for hanging out. We've made a lot of progress. Vulcanus is working properly. we are getting artillery ammunition and shooting it as fast as we can possibly make it, but that's fine. And we have also done some other random upgrades, like we have Mark III modules producing. Some of them are stuck on Vulcanus, but that's a whole different thing. And so yeah, I think next time our goal is we are going to just try to get this whole biter spawner thing set up properly, get actual decent quantities out of it, and get these. And then our main goal is going to be get some production in space for rocket launches. So that's blue circuits, that's the low density structures, and rocket fuel. We want to be making those in space so that we don't have to constantly drain our resources on planets doing it, and so that when we go to a new planet, we don't have to do a whole big process to get connected back up to space and go back and forth. We can just have it set up. So that's the plan. We are going to be doing Satisfactory tomorrow, where we are working on our plutonium power plant, and we will be back to Factorio on Wednesday. So thanks everyone for hanging out. I stream every weekday from 2 to 5. So if you're interested in seeing what I'm doing, then make sure to follow. And that's about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Had a lot of fun, and I will see you guys next time. Bye.